Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here and it's another episode of the Racing Debrief. We gotta talk a little bit about Talledega for you guys here. But first let's jump into some news from the week. I mean we kind of were supposed to do that with the series and that kind of got forgotten. So the first thing is Kyle Busch Motorsports was sold to Spire Motorsports this week. And that was very, I guess, surprising. I know there was rumors coming out of it a few days before it happened, but when that got announced, it was just interesting. I know Kyle Busch was talking about, he would retire from Cup Series, do a year of trucks, and then split a year with Brexton. Then Brexton be old enough to take over, and they'd race that way. And assumed that was going to be with his team. So I don't know if that's kind of switched or just said, you know what, we're going to take a break for now and in a few years, revisit that idea, or if it's just that will happen at Spire, like who knows. But very interesting to see that move take place. Yeah, I mean, I guess unexpected. They got their 100th win, so maybe that was why Kyle Busch really was going for that 100th win. It could be he knew the team was being sold before it came out. That could be it. But very interesting to see nonetheless. And, yeah, just crazy. Crazy moves, unexpected to see that. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of wild. Just so they got a few more races left as a team. But, I can see it come back in a few years, maybe something in that way. But again, I think a lot of it comes out of not having that Toyota support. That Toyota support was there when he was at Joe Gibbs Racing when he left. Chevy didn't really put as much into it. It's one of those things that was a key development stage for Toyota. They put a lot of their drivers in that spot that were guys that were going to go to Xfinity or go to Cup. A lot of them took that path through that team. So it's interesting to see now that he's going to Chevy that stopped. But yeah, other news, you had North Wilkesboro was announced coming back for the All-Star race in 2024, and they're going to be repaving the track. I think it's a good move. I think that the repave was something that was going to happen anyways. I think that the surface being old was cool. You can't maintain that though. Something from the 80s, just concrete and asphalt like from that long ago doesn't last on really anything. So you have to replace it. I mean, they already redid the pit road, so redoing the asphalt. I mean, you look at things that aren't racetracks and weren't sitting abandoned for 25 years, and that looks pretty bad. I mean, there'll be cracks, and I mean, that just happens. So, a racetrack that's been used, I mean, it had 10, 15 years of use on it before it was even abandoned. So, I mean, when the track was kind of shut down was when it was getting close to needing a repave in, standards of how repaves take place at tracks. Typically, it's, 15, 20 years. So, when that happened, it was about 15 years already. So, having it repaved, I think makes sense. The older surface didn't necessarily work that well with the tires that we had the All-Star race. I think they had that been on the previous generation of cars that were good at the short tracks. Maybe you would have seen more out of it, but I think it's a good move. You can wear in that surface, give it a year or two of racing, if you do more local racing. And then, do the NASCAR weekend on it after it's been repaved. I think should put it in a good spot where it'll be more worn in. And if we get to a point where, North Wilkesboro becomes a points race, which I think is what everybody wants to see. I know I do. I mean, I think it's cool having the All-Star race eventually. I'd like to see it become a points race, though. But I'm satisfied with seeing North Wilkesboro in any capacity with Cup cars on it. But if that's the goal, is to get it ready for Cup racing in a points situation, a points paying race, wear that service in a little bit, and let the package get better, right? That's the thing everybody's saying. Let the short track package get better. NASCAR's gonna figure it out. It's gonna take a while. I mean, they didn't really see much progress from their test at Richmond apparently, but I think you'll see some progress with it. I mean, they're gonna work on something. Whether it's tires or the car itself, someone's gonna get better with short tracks. They can't just let it stay the way it is. Short tracks are very important, so. Yeah, I think there'll be something with it. They'll work on that and get into a better spot. Other news, can't think of anything else. Maybe another few track dates got announced. We're getting close to the schedule coming out. Believe it was mid-September to mid-October that the schedules came out in the last, couple of years. So I think we'll see something with that hopefully soon. But who knows? Yeah, so let's get on to the races from this weekend. I just finished watching the Cup race. It's about 6 o'clock right now when I'm recording this. So, 30 minutes ago it ended. Processing that. But we'll get into that, how I felt about the finish of that. I'm sure you guys will know how I felt about it. But, yeah. First, let's go to the truck race from Saturday. And first of all, Fox commentary, holy hell. God damn. Their commentary of the truck specifically is a problem. Now, I used to like Fox's broadcast the most for Cup Series and Xfinity Series a few years ago. I think NBC needed some time to get their announcing group together, get them, working on it. You brought in a bunch of people that hadn't done commentary on racing. They were recently retired from what they were doing. They hadn't had that experience. But I think now we're on to year 9 of them. I think they do a good job. And I think for the Cup Series for Fox, Mike Joy is good. Big fan of Mike Joy. Clint Boyer, I'm not a fan of. So when it switched to NBC in the summer, I wasn't disappointed. But Fox has the Truck Series all year. And my God, is it bad? The issue that Fox has is their commentators don't really have that enthusiasm to it. I mean, the call of it at the finish, Brett Moffitt wins, and it's just Brett Moffitt wins Talledega. Basically in that tone. I mean, there was no excitement to it. I don't think Jamie Little's the person to have for the main lead commentary for Truck Series. I think she's great on the pits. I don't know if she's the main commentator role. But I think one of the issues that's hard to judge is when you have to do a commentary watching the screen, right? There's things that you can watch in a race, and there'll be times we watch in a race and I'll point out, there's a crash in the back or something that before the announcer say it, right? I'll see a little detail like that. You can't call a whole race like that. You can't call the whole thing, right? So if Fox doesn't want to send their people to the track, they don't do it basically when their portion of the schedule is done. I don't even think they send them for the races that are not at the same track as the Cup Series. So basically, if it's a different track, or if it's not when they have Cup and Xfinity, when it's trucks by itself, they're just announcing in the studio in Charlotte. And it just makes the commentary so bad. I don't think the commentary was great before. Last year I don't think it was great. I don't think it was good in the beginning of the year. But it falls off significantly when the Cup and Xfinity Series switch to NBC and Fox just goes and does stuff in their studio. And I believe Fox is doing this in general. I believe I was reading something about it with a game that they did for college football. They had a Friday college football game a few weeks ago. And Fox didn't send the announcers to it. They didn't even send sideline reporters. So they had no idea what was going on. So if this is just the route that Fox is taking commentary, for things that aren't big events, it's not your big Saturday college games and it's not your big Cup Series NASCAR races, I don't know. I don't think Fox is the worst with some other stuff. I think that what they do for football isn't terrible. I think what they do for NASCAR could be better for Cup Series, but it's not the worst. But Fox for the Truck Series is terrible. Other things from the Truck Series race, you had Zane Smith spinning into his pits, hits the pit guy. He threw one tire down, kind of jumped on the truck. Crazy scene, obviously. Fortunately, wasn't hurt from that, but yeah, you never want to see the cars spinning out or out of control in the pits. I mean, you had that with at Texas last week for Xfinity Series, Brennan Poole spinning through the grass right towards the pit wall. You don't want to see those types of things in the pits. That bad things can happen. So, fortunately, the guy for Zane Smith was he was good. He kind of laughed about it on the side, having fun. He said he wouldn't try to jump over the truck. So, again, fortunately, he was not hurt in that. Speaking of with Zane Smith, he then had some issues with his truck. And again, coming back to Fox's commentary, they decided to interview him when he's there in the truck as the team's trying to fix it. Right, they're trying to fix the mechanical issue. You can see he's looking at his phone. He's like this. All right, he's got his visor up, just chilling, looking at his phone. And then the commentary comes up into the... He didn't seem like he wanted to be interviewed when he's sitting there in the truck going laps down, essentially. After that, though, you have a big crash towards the end of the race with Matt Crafton and Nick Sanchez, which did lead to some incidents off track. In my view of that wreck, right, I thought Matt Crafton moved down. I thought Nick Sanchez kind of held his line. Thought Matt Crafton moved down and kind of took himself out, and then caused the big crash. That's just how it looked to me. We'll get into that incident in a moment with them, though, off track. But to finish up the race, like I said earlier, Brett Moffitt winning. They brought in another car, Front Row Motorsports did, to another truck, try to help Zane Smith win. Zane Smith has his issues. You bring in Brett Moffitt, who ends up winning the race in their extra truck. It's pretty cool to see. Brett Moffitt, obviously 2018 champion, so cool to see him sort of return and do well. Now, at the end of the race, Matt Crafton, or when he crashed, towards the end of the race, parked kind of in his pits, but kind of in Nick Sanchez's pit, and said something to his team, and seemed like he was annoyed about it. I didn't think much of it. I thought that was going to be it, right? I thought, okay. He'll be mad about it. He'll see the replay and be like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But no. He goes up. Nick Sanchez comes out. He's around his team, whatever. He gets out of his truck, something like that. Just some interviews. And there's different reports of it. Some reports say he just went up and punches Nick Sanchez right in the face. Just sucker punch in the face. Just taps him, turns around and punches him. Matt Crafton has since tweeted that that's not what happened, and then he went up and talked to him, and then Nick Sanchez made threats to him, and then he punched him. But either way, Matt Crafton punched him in the face, and there was a massive brawl. So, what do I think should happen in that situation? I mean, I think you look at a spot where Matt Crafton got to be out for a race or two, for sure. I think you can't go up and punch somebody like that. You have the little fights, and a lot of times you see the fights, there's some punching, people are mad at each other, but the reports of it are that he just literally tapped him on the shoulder and sucker punched him in the face. There's a difference, too. If you guys have some words and, punches get thrown, there's one thing I don't think people need to get suspended for that. I'm all for a little bit of fights in the pits. A little bit of fights in the garage. You want to do it, go ahead. Somebody's mad. I don't think it's a problem. I think when you just have someone turn around and punch him in the face, that's a problem. So, Matt Crafton should be suspended for that. Nick Sanchez saying, I'm going to kill you at Homestead, probably isn't going to go over well, though. And when you have threats like that, seen there's some things within the rules that those types of things don't go over well. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Sanchez gets either a race suspension or definitely probation to try to de-escalate that situation between them. But I think it's a pretty low move for Matt Grafton to punch him in the face when you make a bad move at Talledega. That's just my take on it. All right, so we got to get into the Cup race now. Cup race was relatively tame through the first two stages, honestly. Stage 1, you had a little incident. Ross Chastain getting to the wall. Ricky Stenhouse sort of runs out of gas. They're coming to the end of the stage. It was the last lap of stage 1. He runs out of gas in front of Kyle Busch. Slows both of them down. Chastain kind of moves and gets hit by Kyle Busch a little bit, and Chastain's out of the race. But outside of that, stage 1, stage 2, very, very calm. You had 2 cautions. One for the stage and one for that wreck. That was it. Nothing too wild took place. All calm. Brad Keselowski get a stage win. Who won? Was it? Did Ryan Blaney win stage 1? I don't know. Somebody won stage 1. I think it might have been Ryan Blaney. I don't remember, to be honest. But then you get into the end of the race, you know. Denny Hamlin has gone a lap down by speeding the pits as well, so that creates a little bit of interest as him and Austin Cindric, who also went a lap down, I believe, speeding in the pits or something like that, for both of them. They're trying to pass each other within the groups. Who's going to be ahead if there's a caution? Of course, this is set up, though, as coming to the end of stage 2, Carson Hocevar managed to get by Denny Hamlin to get the free pass. So, again, last stage, Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, they're moving. They're in the third lane, and Hamlin moves to the bottom lane and cuts back up, and then Cindric does the same thing. So they're going back and forth. That's very interesting to watch. But, again, generally a very, very calm race throughout it. As you get down towards the end of it, though, I think there's about 30 to go. Things start to get a little bit wild, and we're looking at going to the final pits. A lot of the Fords are, working their way to the front. Eric Almirola is in the lead. Lets Kevin Harvick get in front of him, and it looks like, hey, they're about to pit. Behind them, you have Brad Keselowski pushing. Gets to the wrong side of Carson Hocevar. Hits him. He spins down the track, takes out Austin Dillon, Ty Gibbs. They both smash in the wall pretty hard in the tri-oval area. Brad Keselowski gets taken out as well, almost flips over. Car gets off the ground a little bit. And there's actually a red flag trying to fix the wall there. They both hit very, very hard. As I was saying in the commentary, you don't typically get a spot where 2 drivers go into the wall at the same time, so it's an interesting test on the saber barrier. I'm sure they've tested those things out, but it's interesting when you have that scenario. Again, both of them going into the wall at pretty much the same time, very similar angle. Both of them were out of the race and they were fine. But very interesting from all the different drivers of who they blamed for what happening. But after that, you go again, and it gets down towards the end of the race. And you got a little debris caution. And then it's just straight push into the finish. Nothing really wild breaks out. No big crash. You got basically all the Hendrick cars in the bottom lane. The Fords at the top. They're going around the track. And each lap, things are moving around. Alex Bowman got sort of stuck in the middle. Kind of starts to form a third lane. But you get Kevin Harvick at the front. William Byron to the inside. Going to the back straight. Harvick makes a little bit of a, bad block. It wasn't bad block. It was a late block. Let's Blaney get to the bottom, but they're still good going through 3 and 4. And I'm like, I was so nervous at this point because I'm, again, waiting for Kevin Harvick to win this year. Hoping for it to happen. I feel my hand shaking. Feel my heartbeat going up. I'm like, oh boy. I haven't felt like that in a race for, honestly, a year and a half. Like, only if it's super, super intense, which there hasn't really been that intense of a race in that scenario. It's been a while. But Oh, coming to the finish. Riley Herbst getting there. Harvick's about to get a push. Riley Herbst gets taken out by Corey LaJoie. Everybody crashes behind. They let him keep racing the finish line. Ryan Blaney wins by 0.012 seconds. Oh, the pain, dude. The way I couldn't explain how I felt about that. I was still shaking a minute after it. You could tell from the first angle Blaney had him at the line, but man, just pain, absolute. I couldn't believe it. Harvick had that race. Yeah, he had it, and if Riley Herbst doesn't get taken out, I think he wins it. He had the momentum, and when you lose that momentum, you got, it's two against one. Byron was still there, giving the push to Blaney, so nothing you can do about it. But damn, that hurt. Second by that little bit. Ryan Blaney advances, though, so shout out to him, I guess. It's impressive. His third win, very, very close. 0.012 to add to his 0.007 second wins, which he's got 2 of. So 3 Talledega wins for Ryan Blaney. All that close. But the series moves on, and we're going to Charlotte. The Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. And, of course, we're back talking about F1 next week as well. We look towards the Qatar Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen can win his 3rd World Championship in the sprint race on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be fun. I'm gonna have to get a new flag soon. Either way, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.